Okay, here we are, lesson 3-4, find and use slopes of lines. You guys keep asking for a more algebra-based lesson, and here it is. In the past, we have used properties of parallel lines to find angle measures. Now we can find and compare slopes of lines. So we have some more map activities. I want to go through these with you. I'm going to write with a highlighter because I just feel like it writes better. So A minus B, so 5, let's do a different color. Let's do purple, because I like purple. 5 minus 2 over 1 minus 7. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 7 is negative 6. That'll simplify to negative 1/2. Yay, I'm right. Now, the next problem, I actually see things like this a lot, even on the old algebra exams. And what I always say to students is to think about, I think it helps a little bit, is to actually do this like it's a proportion. So you actually distribute 5 times x, that's 5x, and 5 times negative 3, which is negative 15. Equals 1, oh, you can just do this part here. 3 minus 4 is negative 1, and negative 1 times 1 is still negative 1. Add 15 to both sides. 5x equals negative 1 plus 15 is 14. And that's 14 over 5. So that would have been very difficult to try and figure out x mentally using another system. It didn't look right. Even I was nervous before I pulled it away that I had done something wrong, but that is the correct answer. Next problem, what is the reciprocal of 2 over 3? The reciprocal would be 3 over 2. Now, Julie was thinking of a number. The product of her number and 6 is negative 1. Okay? So I want you to think for a second. You have 6. The reciprocal of 6 is 1 over 6. The negative reciprocal of 6 over 1, or of 6, would be negative 1/6. If you multiply a number by its negative reciprocal, you're going to get negative 1. A lot of times in this lesson, I've noticed already, they talk about the slope of two lines that are perpendicular being that the product of the slopes multiplies together to get negative 1. That is just another way to say negative reciprocal. It's what you already know. But a number and its negative reciprocal will give you a product of negative 1. So let's review slope a little bit. A negative slope would be, goes from left to right. We always read slope from left to right. A positive slope, like line K, increases from left to right. A zero slope is a horizontal line, okay? And an undefined slope is a vertical line. You will remember that if you can draw a vertical line through more than one point on an equation, it is not a function. That has to do with the fact that there's an undefined slope. So problem number 1, they asked you to find the slope of line A. I'm having a hard time seeing line A. Okay, so this is line A. And they also want us to find the slope of line D. So A should have a negative slope, and they go ahead and they find two numbers on this line, which they find, looks like they use 6 and 4 and 8 and 2. Plug those in, find the slope. And then for slope D, slope of line D, it looks like they used 6, 4 and 6, 0. Plug that into the formula and they got a slope of 4 over 0, which is undefined. You cannot divide by 0. It's like that thing that the kids say, oh, if you ask Siri, what can you divide 0 by 0? You end up with something about Cookie Monster having no friends and no cookies. You cannot divide by 0. So now we're going to have a guided practice. You can try it. They've said find the slope of the line. Use the graph and find the slope of the line. But I do not think they are telling me which line they want me to find the slope of. Am I missing something? That's A, B, that's C, that's D. Oh, I am missing something. It's right there. They want me to find the slope of line B. Wow, it's been a long day. So I'm going to use 2 points on B. I'm going to use 6 and 4 and 4 and 0. So first, I'm going to subtract my y values. So 4 minus 0 is 4, and 6 minus 4 is 2. So that should be a slope of 2. And I'm actually going to check this, because what should happen if it's 2 is if I start at this point, if I count up 2 spaces on y and over 1, I should land up back on the line. If I count up 2 and over 1, I land back on that line. So I did do that correctly. I'm very excited about this. Oh, now I see, and now they want me to find line C. Well, right away, I think we just learned that that will be a slope of 0 because it is a horizontal line. But let me check. So 4 minus, 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 6 is negative 6. So when I have a 0 on the top, the slope is a slope of 0. Okay? So congratulations. I know you're excited. We have 2 more postulates, but they're things that you already know to be true. We're just telling you that they're postulates. The first is the slope of parallel lines in a coordinate plane. 2 non-vertical lines are parallel if and only if they have the same slope. So if they're not vertical, they have the same slope, they're parallel. And any 2 vertical lines are parallel. So they have undefined slope, but they are parallel. Postulate 18 is the slope of perpendicular lines. In the coordinate plane, 2 non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if the product of their slope is negative 1. We know that as if slopes have a negative reciprocal. Okay, and horizontal lines are perpendicular to vertical lines. So if I have a horizontal line and a perpendicular line, if I have a horizontal line, and a vertical line, I'm having trouble speaking tonight, they are perpendicular, and that's signified right there by the right angle symbol. So find the slope of each line. Which lines are parallel? So they found the slope of K, which is 4. They found the slope of K2, which is 4. And let's see what they do next. And they did find the slope of K3, which did not look parallel though to me, which was 5. So K1 sub 1 and K sub 2 are parallel because they have the same slope. K sub 3 is not. So now they give us another problem. Line M passes through negative 1, 3, and 4, 1. And line T passes through negative 2, negative 1, and 3, negative 3. Are they parallel? So we're going to first have to find their slopes. So 3 minus 1 is 2. Negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. So that's the first slope. The second slope, negative 1 minus 3, negative 1, minus negative 3, so that's negative 1 plus 3 is 2, and -2 minus 3 is -5. So they are parallel because they have the same slope. Okay. Now, for example 3, we're going to draw a perpendicular line. So for line M1, trying to figure out which is M1 here. Find the slope of M10 through 3, 0, and 7, 6. That looks to me like line H, but okay. Oh, line H passes through 3, 0, and 7, 6. Graph the line perpendicular to H that passes through. So, I don't know why they said M1. That looks like line H. They found the slope there, which is 3 halves. Now, we want the negative reciprocal, which is -2 over 3. Okay, so they wanted it to go through 2, 5, perpendicular. The perpendicular at, it's going through it at 5, 3. Okay. So they started at 2, 5, and they went down 2 and to the right 3 because we want the negative reciprocal. I'm sorry, I think this problem is throwing me because if I had put a dot here, well, I guess I could have hit it at other places. But they told me where they wanted it to go through. I don't know, it seems a little odd. Seems to me like they would have asked me to draw it. Well, I don't know. Sorry, I'm mumbling. So they asked me to start there, and then we had the slope of -2, 3, and find it there. Also could have graphed this. I guess I'm just thinking out loud since they gave me the point and they gave me the slope. I guess I may be getting ahead of myself. So I'll just go back to what they're asking me. Standardized test practice. So this is a sample SAT question. A skydiver made jumps with 3 parachutes. The graph shows the height of the skydiver from the time the parachute opened to the time of the landing for each jump. Which statement is true? So for the blue line, his parachute opened when he was lower. You can see line C and B. B and C look like they're going through the same point on the y-axis. They have the same y-intercept, so he opened at about the same time. So the parachute opened at the same time in heights jump A and B? No, it's definitely different. The parachute was open for the same amount of time in jumps B and C. Well, no, it opened at the same time, but here he ended at 4 minutes. Here he ended at, maybe that's 5 minutes, but definitely not the same amount of time. The skydiver descended at the same rates in jump A and jump B. Well, if it was the same rates, then they would be parallel. Doesn't look like those lines are parallel. Looks like they intersect. The skydiver descended at the same rate in jumps A and jump C. I could take the time to check it. It's a little difficult to check because I don't really have any good points here. So I'm going to say that A and C are parallel. Okay? And really, they say the segments have the same slope as A and C. I can't it tells me that the segments have the same slope as A and C. Sorry, guys, I'm a little off my game tonight. So it is D. That's what I was assuming. Had I read the problem, it would have told me that. Okay. Number 4. Line N passes through 0, 2, and 6, 5. And line M passes through 2, 4, and 4, 1. Are they perpendicular? So I'm going to find the slope. 2 minus 5 is -3. 0 minus 6 is -6. So that's the same as +1/2. So I need -2 as the reciprocal slope. So 4 minus 0 is 4. 2 minus 4 is -2. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So negative 2 and 1/2 are negative reciprocals. Now I know the answer in this book is going to say, yes, the product of their slopes is negative 1. Please understand, that is the same thing as the negative reciprocal. And for guided practice in example 5, which parachute was open in the air the longest? Explain. Well, the parachute show. This is when they opened, and this is when they landed. Okay? So C took the longest amount of time to open. That's actually the x-intercept shows when they hit a height of 0. So that's when they would have landed, and that's when the parachute would have no longer been open. Okay? So parachute C, okay, was in the air 1.25 minutes longer than A or B. Reset that. Okay, in example 4, what do the x-intercepts represent in the situation? How can you use this to eliminate one of the choices? So they represent the time of landing. So you would have known right away that B and C were open less time, sorry, A and B were open for less time than C, because C was open, was longer minutes than it was open. It's right there on the graph. Okay, problem number 5, I am actually not going to do. I have a philosophical problem with this, because they start talking about roller coasters and slopes. But as you can see, and as you learned in Algebra 1, this is not a constant rate of change. This is not linear. This is a quadratic. I'm getting to physics here. So they're taking and trying to make a real world problem that does not apply. I have philosophical differences with this. I am not doing this whole problem. We are not doing it. I will go through with you, line Q passes through these points, and line T passes through these points, which is steeper. So 0 minus 5 is negative 5. 0 minus negative 4 is positive 4. So the slope of Q is negative 5/4. For T, 0 minus 7, negative 7. 0 minus, sorry, that's, so negative 5/4 and negative 7/10. This is, just to give you an idea, this is greater than negative 1, okay? And this is less than negative 1, okay? The answer is line Q, okay? Because what we would talk about here is the absolute value. If you look at this, if it's greater than 1, it's actually going down because it's negative. The slope is going down. But the greater the absolute value is, the steeper it is. A line that has a slope of 10 is much steeper than a line that has a slope of 2. So even though negative 10 is smaller than negative 2, we want to consider their absolute value, because the negative really just tells me that that line is going down or up. Okay? Okay, we're not going to deal with the roller coaster again, because the roller coaster is going up at a parabola. Even if it's only one side of a parabola, as it goes up, even if it's only this side, it's still a parabola, and I don't like that problem. I feel very strongly about that. So, daily homework review. I'm going to give you a minute to pause the video. Okay? And then I'm going to pull these away. So you can find the slope of this one, it's 5. Find the slope of these, perpendicular. A highway has a grade of 7%. For each 200 feet it goes up horizontally, how many feet does it rise? Okay, so what they're asking you there, okay, that would be 14. Okay, and the way you would also get that is my calculator there. Okay, where is my calculator? I'm really having issues tonight. Okay, 14 divided by 200 is 7%. So if you wanted to work that backwards, they told you 200 times 0.07 would have been 14. After I pulled the answer away, I realized I don't think we went over a problem like that because I think that this was talked about in that roller coaster problem, and I didn't like the roller coaster problem, once again, because to me it's more of a quadratic. If they had talked about a highway going straight up a hill, then that would have been a good example. Okay? And there are the pages from which you have your homework. Okay? I hope that all helps.